I just always thought how I looked on the outside was never actually how I felt on the inside.
This is my voice, 0 days on testosterone.
My voice, 7 months on testosterone.
This is my voice, 2 years on testosterone. I started the process of getting onto hormone blockers, and I'm on them for about 2 years, and I started testosterone in July of 2018.
I'm definitely not the best player, I just play for fun.
Tyler came out as transgender in 2015, but his journey started long before that.
Just before I finished primary school, I would say I was definitely looking and appearing more masculine. Beforehand, a lot of people would mistake me for being male, but it never felt really wrong to me, it just felt right, I guess. When I was about 12 or 13, I became friends with someone who identified as non-binary. I didn't realise people ever identified differently from how they were born. But then I think a few months went by and I started to question my own gender. So I started asking for male underwear and male socks and stuff, and I think my mum started to get the idea.
I hadn't really thought about the possibility that you might be transgender. That wasn't something I really understood. The first thing I did was change your name in my phone, almost like to sort of, as you rang me, I had to kind of learn that was your name. And I think, you know, learning to use male pronouns, you know, when you're programmed for like 14 years, I think quite a lot of your friends got it wrong, and people you'd only known for a year or two. That made me feel a lot easier when I got it wrong. I think there was a lot of learning though, because I didn't give birth to two sons, but I've now got 2 sons.
I left school, I think, when I just turned 14, because I did start to get quite bullied. I experienced a lot of hate, a lot of fear. There was a couple of times where I was followed home for a while. There was a couple of times where I could feel things being thrown at me, times where I wouldn't want to get on the bus. When you're an LGBT kid, you kind of rely on being intuitive, and you rely on being able to see when people are talking about you.
The bullying escalated and it took a huge toll on Tyler and his family.
I've had quite a few suicide attempts, and there was a couple of times I was hospitalised. It got quite bad. I was damaging myself. I did not have any desire to be alive.
It makes you very angry, it makes you very sad. I think as a parent, I think you often want to find ways to compensate for the things that are going on, and you know, most of what was happening was outside of my control. I think you were going through your own turmoil with self-harm and you know, as I said, a number of suicide attempts, and at one point you were hospitalised because you were seen as such a suicide risk. And you know, I really didn't know what we could do to change any of that, really, apart from being just to try and get you to hold on to the belief that things would get better.
In less than a decade, transphobic hate crimes in London have more than quadrupled. The LGBT anti-hate charity Gallup says hate crime against the trans community goes much deeper than the recorded figures.
Most trans people experience at least one form of hate crime every year. We have cases where people are blackmailed about their identity. We know of examples of where people have searched for personal information about people and threatened to, or actually published information, private information about people online. There is practices such as dead naming, which is referring to a trans person by their birth name, which is not their name of choice, and misgendering, which is using, say, he, him instead of she, her, or vice versa. One of the key things that trans people feel when they are a victim of abuse and hate crime is that the police wouldn't be able to help them.
Our staff are really committed to dealing with offences of this nature. They receive bespoke training for it, and that training is ongoing throughout their service. So whilst I can understand that people may historically have felt that they couldn't come forward because we wouldn't understand their issues, we're actually going further at the moment by promoting this, by having hate crime coordinators and appointing 250 LGBT plus advisors who are really aware of the issues that the transgender community face.
While dealing with other people's hate, Tyler began his transition.
I got diagnosed with gender dysphoria, which is what you have to get diagnosed with. There's a very long, lengthy, difficult, stressful process to go through. Rigorous questions, really difficult questions to answer about every aspect of your life. There's the whole aspect of getting a medical report to change your name. It's lengthy, it takes a lot of time. To get your gender recognition certificate, you have to prove that you've been living as said gender for over 2 years, and there's lots of evidence you have to provide. The first time seeing Tyler on something addressed to me was very validating, and it felt so good.
In 2017, the then government promised to make it easier for trans people to live as their true gender without needing a doctor's report. But this year, ministers changed their minds. And now Tyler worries that the rights of trans people are being picked away.
We're just trying to have basic human rights at the end of the day, like everyone else deserves, because we live among everyone else. We breathe the same air as you. We're just like everyone else.
The government told us,
the balance struck in the current legislation is correct in that there are proper checks and balances and support for people who want to change their legal sex. We are going to reduce the fee for applying for a gender recognition certificate and move the process online. We are also opening at least 3 new gender clinics, which will shorten waiting times.
Now at 19, I can definitely see that there is a light at the end of the tunnel, and it's so easy to say that because I've been through it, but if you can hold on, you should.